I'm Maddie.
I'm Amber. And we're Witches Talking Tarot.
We are the weirdos.
Like a song, like a sailor snubble. Flip the switch and let the cauldron bubble. Sam.
Wow.
Hi everyone, I'm Maddie.
And I'm Amber.
And we're
Witches Talking Tarot.
And today we're going to be discussing a different topic, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think we've talked about anything like this before.
Mm-mm.
I saw a post on Facebook that was like something about people not having souls, like soulless people being sent. Oh, you have it.
Okay. We're eating pizza because
Right.
my family just got pizza and like I could smell it and I was like, well, we're gonna eat tonight while the other one talks because there's pizza right there and we haven't eaten yet.
So the specific post is wait until y'all find out. It's spiritual people without souls sent to keep you in the loop of your own trauma so that you can maintain the frequency to keep you from ascension. And that started a conversation between Amber and I, whether or not we believe some people have souls, some people don't have souls.
Mm-hmm.
Is it as common? Because that just makes it sound so common. You know what I mean? Like, and what our thoughts are on that.
Well, and I mean, is it so common? I don't know about that because they specifically use the word spiritual people without souls. And to me, that really spells out televangelists, like that guy that beat the Barbie house to death, you know, and the one that tried to start a witch hunt in his little congregation, you know. Pastor Greg Locke, I think is a stupid fucking name. Anyway, like he's literally
I'm sorry, I love that.
Know.
He's like,
he's so irresponsible, but he's supposedly spiritual. I'm sorry. You're telling people to start a witch hunt. That sounds low vibrational as fuck to me. You're telling people to destroy female idols because it empowers women. That's fucky and low vibrational to me. You know, so like I definitely like I read this as like televangelists because like honestly, you know, when I was in Salem, I was a little disappointed with the vibe. I was hopeful, and like I told my husband, and I think I told Maddie before I went to Salem, like I wanted it to be spiritual, but I expected it to be commercial, and it was commercial, and there really wasn't much spiritual that I could find in Salem from a pagan perspective. But that does make sense also because it's not a pagan place. It's not a place of witches. Even though Salem is called Witch City, their whole thing is they're honoring the innocent people who were put to death because they absolutely were not witches and they absolutely were not pagan. So, you know, a lot of people go there and I think, you know, it's whatever, but I compared the feeling that I, as a very nature-based and very spiritual pagan individual, I compared Salem to the Jerry Falwell churches and the Greg Locke churches and the, you know, Tammy Faye Baker, you know, versions of Christianity that when I was younger, I always saw them as nothing but scam, you know? And I'm not saying that I saw everything in Salem as a scam. Please don't misunderstand. But what I'm saying is that it was that same feeling of selling you religion, selling you salvation, selling you an idea. Well, money fucking is low vibrational, period, point blank. I mean, it's just when money and religion become so connected. And that is my first mental train of thought when I see this. I have other train of thoughts, which is why we're going to have an whole episode on it. But that's my first mental train of thought is it's like the televangelists, you know, the TV preachers.
Right. So it's not necessarily like a random person in your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That again, that's my first, like, that's what I thought the very first time I ever saw that.
There's this one preacher. Oh shit, I'm on TikTok. So, sorry, I did not want it to get loud, but There's this one televangelist. Oh, I don't know him. He's got the weirdest eyes. You know who I'm talking about? And I'm gonna look him up.
Yeah, because I'm like, you say the weirdest eyes, and the first thing I think of is Steve Buscemi, and the second thing I think of is an actor from decades and decades and decades before Steve Buscemi, whose name I really don't know, but I bet somebody's picturing him along with me right now.
Okay, he's definitely a televangelist. And he has the same eyes as fucking, like, this is comparing it right here to fucking Homelander. Literally, he's got Homelander eyes. Like, I'm trying to find a better picture.
Oh, is that Jerry Falwell?
Kenneth Copeland.
He almost looks like Jerry Falwell.
Dude, look at his crazy ass eyes, though. Look at that. What is that?
God damn, those are crazy ass eyes. Like, that is some Homelander shit.
But it's like, are they crazy eyes or drug eyes? You know what I mean? Like, both.
Well, guys, you heard my husband.
I mean, the guy is just, but then you look at those eyes and you're like, is that a soulless person? You know, like here's a different picture of him just smiling. Like, not angry, but just look at that.
No, scary.
Is there something
that is like, that's some demonic shit right there?
So soulless or demonic, you know? And there are people with eyes like,
well, and to me, soulless and demonic
are the same.
Well, they're not necessarily the same, but they can be, because if you have no soul, you could have a demon in you. You could also be soulless and not have a demon in you. So, you know, to me, like, they don't have to be mutually exclusive, is what I mean. But I don't know. That's my first thought, is televangelists, because don't sell me religion.
But excuse me.
You're fine. I was like, damn it.
If these people are soulless, what are they going to gain from preventing you from your ascension? Don't we need a soul to have an ultimate goal?
Well, I truly believe, and what I had said to you when we were talking about maybe doing this as an episode, I personally truly believe that some people, with or without a soul, some people and some spiritual people, they literally need to be above others. They need to keep others down to build themselves up, to feel like they're going up, even if they're not actually going anywhere. They need to have those followers under them. They need to have somebody else under them that they are keeping down, simply by saying, I am above you. And those people, they accept it, right? Because the confidence, the charisma, the levels of manipulation that some of these people
these are
willing
leaders,
to go to.
Basically.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cult leaders could definitely fall into. Now, I don't say that all cult leaders would fall into this category.
Well, and like
maybe not even every televangelist does, but that's what it makes me think of.
I can see that, because like the thing to focus on is soulless spiritual people, not just people in general. So like, I don't know. It really makes me think, like, do I think these people are specifically soulless? Well, like I was saying, what would a soulless person's goal be in life? You know, to prevent you from reaching ascension. But why? It's not like they have a soul. It's not like they're going anywhere. You know what I mean? It's not like how would this benefit them?
Well, I'm going to reference one of my favorite shows, Ugly Americans, from Comedy Central back in the mid-2000s. There's one episode, or I guess it's a two-parter episode, but basically the demons, their whole goal is to bring about the end of days. So they will corrupt anybody to get their goal, you know, like they'll try to enact all the prophecies to get to their goal. They want the end of days to come. That's when they shine, you know, the demons, they're going to rise up and take over, right? So they want to keep people low vibrational. They want to own as many souls as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So if I keep you under my guise, if I keep you under my, influence, and I can siphon off of you, which is why I think this was great to follow up the energy vampire episode. But then I can further bring about those bad prophecies that will bring bad things to the ethers, that will help bad eventualities come to pass. Now, and I'm not specifically saying Christian mythologies at all. I just mean there's prophecies throughout all different cultures that tell us about end of days. You know what I mean? So it can be brought out in a bunch of different ways. It doesn't necessarily have to be Christian mythology. Granted, that's probably my first mentality.
I think it is a lot of people
because I live in the Western world, so I was raised Christian.
So my question is for you: what is the difference between a soulless person and a demon? Because we've referenced both in this episode.
So, in my beliefs,
yes,
I believe an empty vessel can be born. I believe just a body with no soul can live out its biological life. It has no connection.
And this does
to
not
the
necessarily
spiritual ethers of the energies. Like, it's not connected. It's like an NPC in a video game, right?
Well, and
it's
like
not
you
connected
say,
to all this stuff.
You say that, and you mean a normal person, not somebody who is in a coma that can't move, or somebody who's a vegetable, for lack of a better word, not trying to be offensive. I don't know what else to say. Or somebody who is extremely disabled. And when I say extremely disabled, I mean can't do anything.
Yeah, no, that's not what I mean.
You mean an actual?
I mean an actual regular person. Have you ever been around somebody and you're like, there's fucking nothing behind their eyes?
I feel like I have. Yeah.
You're like, they're saying words, but there's nothing there.
Like that fucking televangelist picture.
Yeah, exactly. I believe empty vessels exist, which would be soulless. An empty vessel is a person who is not run by a soul. Like, I believe that what is speaking to you right now, what has these thoughts and these beliefs is, yes, it's Amber in this incarnation, but it's led by Amber's soul, whatever that soul piece is.
So I have a follow-up for
That
two
essence.
questions. One, if a person like this dies, is there anything? Or is it just a body dying?
No, and that's what I mean by a biological creature. They're just...
I can't even say like an animal because I believe animals have souls, but
exactly right.
How
so that's
some
where I was
Christians would view an animal.
That's why I was like, shit, I shouldn't have taken that bite so I can clarify this. Because when I say a they would just live out their existence as a biological creature. That is what I mean, is that they would live out an existence as a biological creature that has no spirituality, that has no spiritual connection. Because,
well, not even just spiritual connection,
that
but
we are all
right.
Well, when I say spiritual connection, what I mean is we are all connected to the cosmic mind. We are all part of it. We are all connected to it. If we have a soul, if we have an essence, if we have that piece of the ethers that exists within us that makes us part of the cosmic mind. Empty vessels aren't born with that. They don't have that. So there is no way for them to be connected to all of that. So when their biological body passes, there's no essence of them that's going to travel through the ethers and come back. They're not going to, there is nothing there. They're fodder to feed the earth.
Right.
And that is my belief.
And so with these soulless, I'm trying to think, I had a follow-up question. I really did, because hearing you talk is getting my own brain so going, because I just don't know. Mental health issues, for example, sociopaths. Would you consider
I mean, some might not have a soul, but that's not,
They
don't necessarily necessarily wouldn't necessarily be an empty vessel just because they have this damage within them that doesn't allow them to understand other people as true other people. Sure, probably a good portion of empty vessels are sociopaths and psychopaths.
Right.
I mean, that is how this
Because
the
they
entire
don't have
thought process of
feelings, they
me.
don't have that connection with
Right.
society, they don't have that
Right.
connection spiritually. It's
They're able to just
Yes.
distinguish life or extinguish life
Mhm. With no
with
thought.
no thought. Yes,
Mhm.
with no remorse, no. I know that if I ever actually I have accident, like I've hit animals with my car by accident and ended their lives, and I still think about it months later. Like, I don't know if that's normal for a person, but like extreme guilt. Like I hit a squirrel in May. I can still see him.
Well, that just makes me feel like anybody that runs over turtles on purpose, soulless. You're a fucking asshole. You know what I mean? Like 100%. Fuck you guys.
Well, not to defend that behavior because I'm totally not.
No,
for
I
it.
get you.
Our society has taught us.
Do you think
There's
our
a certain
society
religion
is creating
has taught
soulless?
us
Yeah.
that we are better than all this other stuff, which we're not. We're absolutely not. We're not. But because when you are raised generation after generation after generation that people are the only thing that matters, it doesn't bother you to roll over a turtle any more than it bothers you to roll over a stick.
Or shoot a turtle. Fuck you.
Yeah, fuck that.
Sorry, but
Fuck that.
so do you think?
Because a lot of people think hitting something with their car it doesn't matter. It's inevitable and unavoidable, and it's like it's not unavoidable. Yes, it's probably inevitable based on how much you drive, but it's not unavoidable. You can try without putting anybody else in danger. You can try not to hit a fucking animal. I guarantee you fucking that.
So do you think that because of the way society is today, that we are subconsciously, sub-spiritually, I don't know, whatever you'd call it, creating soulless vessels constantly? Do you think there's more soulless vessels on this earth than there has ever been? What, you know what I'm trying to say?
But
I'm trying to figure out how to question it. I hope you get what I'm saying.
I do get what you're saying, and see, like, my answer is a little dangerous.
Oh, I'm sorry. You don't.
No, it's just I don't. Some people are going to be offended by my answer. I think there are, yes. So there are, the reason that I believe there are empty vessels out there is because I truly believe that there are individuals that do wind up gaining life that were not intended to by the universe. And that is how they do not get imbued with a soul, because the universe doesn't even see them. It has no idea it needs to put a soul there because it's not part of the plan. We all have our parts to play. And there is a degree of me that believes everything happens for a reason. However, even with there's a degree of me that believes anything is possible. However, I also believe everything happens for a reason. And I do believe that there's an entire weaved tapestry out there of plans. And when you don't have a thread in the tapestry because you were not intended by the universe, but let's say Western medicine has allowed for the life to happen, well, that's where's a soul going to come from? Like, that's part of my belief. Just like, okay, think about they started cloning sheep in Scotland in the 90s. Like, that's how I remember learning about clones. It was clones of sheep. Do you think a cloned sheep would have a soul like a regular sheep?
I don't know, because I don't know, in the sense that I really truly have the belief that everything has a soul. A rock has a soul. I
believe everything has a soul except for empty vessels, because
and
I truly just cannot fathom how something with a soul can do some of the things that are done. Like, this is where the
conversation, right. And this is where the conversation diverts, which is very interesting. Yeah. And I love, and I want to hear you guys' opinion on
definitely.
Both Amber and
Please,
we do. So I don't necessarily believe in empty vessels, but you mentioned a clone sheep. Well, that falls hand in hand with a robot. But I think a robot could have a soul. I really do. But then everybody be like, but then you've got the assholes, and I'm sorry to call y'all assholes, that are like, it's just a robot. It don't have a soul. No, it
That's
didn't.
Terminator. And
It
that was a
didn't.
bad world.
I
It
know.
was a bad world. Let's not do that.
Not to
let's
compare
not do
clones
that.
and robots, but seriously. Or I don't know if you ever watched Westworld.
Yeah, I did.
Right.
The androids.
Um,
Alien. The android.
Right? Exactly. Like I feel like they could have a soul. I don't think they're yeah. Is that weird?
But again, that's where it gets dangerous because once androids have that,
it falls in the line of the difference between consciousness and a soul. For me, I have trouble differentiating the two because consciousness to me is a soul. Means a soul. But it's not like that with everyone. Like for you, it's not.
To me, like your essence is your soul. But I truly believe like you meet those people who it's like talking to a dead fish because they don't have a fucking soul.
I shouldn't even use the term say consciousness per se because does a rock have consciousness? I mean, but I do think so. You know what I mean?
The ones that call to me because they want to move from here to
because
here.
They have a soul. It's hard for me as I don't know that term.
I sound crazy.
I know you know the name of that term. I don't know what it is. It's where you believe absolutely everything has a soul.
Animism.
Animism.
Basically,
so
everything is animated by consciousness.
Yes. So I have that belief. I really do.
I do too.
So this is having me think a little bit about it because it's like, do I have whatever the fuck? That's my belief, right? But do I believe that there are no souls? Or there are some people without souls? But I can't. I don't know. I'm glad we're having this conversation because it's a nice topic.
It is a nice
topic. But I do
cause...
believe in the universe having, like you and I discussed previously in one of our Patreon episodes. You guys should check us out on Patreon. Patreon.com/ Yes. I personally believe that there is darkness and there is light. There is yin and there is yang. There is chaos and there is love. And I think both of those things can find, whether you think chaos or darkness or demon or yin or yang or whatever the fuck, whether you consider them a soul is, I guess, really up to you. But the universe is made of two, that balance. So it just makes sense to me that some people would have a not negative soul, but some people would have that chaos.
Well, and it's like, this is where we've had this, where we diverge from art. Because I truly cannot believe that the soul itself, the essence, can be evil.
Right.
I believe that there can be an evil essence that we call demons. But I don't think of a demon and a soul as the same
and that's
thing.
why I'm like, maybe I'm using the wrong term because I use soul more broadly than others. To me, it's the consciousness that moves the body. That's the definition for me. It can be positive, it can be negative. Is the negative and the chaos and the dark that possesses a body considered a soul, or would it be called something else? But I have trouble accepting that anything could not have a soul simply because I hold so fiercely to the animism belief.
Well, and after you hear a word from our very first sponsor, I would like to talk a little bit more about where that's going. So guys, listen to our sponsor, or listen to us advertise our sponsor for the first time ever. Yay! Growing.
Yes.
And then we'll be back to talk about this just a little bit more. Thank you so much for joining the show today. Today's show is brought to you by our sponsors, our very first sponsors, Calm Aura, and they have given us the Calm Aura Tree Devia tarot deck.
It is such a beautiful deck. I mean, didn't you say it's lined in gold?
It is gold lined, and the art, like the box is just the tip of the iceberg with this art.
5 of Cups. I love this artistry. I hope
Gorgeous.
they can see it all right. The artistry is perfect. It fits perfectly in your hands. And
Such
to
a good
me,
hand feel.
as a tarot reader, it's all about the feeling that
Yes,
the hands. This
absolutely.
is perfect size. Perfect size. The the thickness of the card is
It's
also
so good for
perfect.
shuffling. It's
Yes.
like, as a tarot reader, you will love these cards.
Yes.
So if you would like to get your hands on one of these gorgeous decks or any of the other wonderful metaphysical offerings at Calm Aura, you can get your very own Tree Devia tarot deck and more at calmaura.com/witches talking tarot. And that is CALMOURA.com/witches talking tarot. If you want to see how to spell our name, you can find out when you go hit that subscribe button after the show.
Well, and I think you forgot the best part.
I just
you
haven't
get
gotten there yet.
10% off,
Yes.
right? You get 10% off.
Your whole order. So grab more than just the cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thanks for coming to Sit a Spell. So enjoy the rest of this episode. Again, brought to you by the Calm Aura. Calm Aura Tree Devia Tarot Deck. So to get your 10% off your entire order at calmaura.com/witches talking tarot, use code tarot witches 10 when placing your order. And we're back after our first commercial break ever for our first sponsor. We hope you check out the link and enjoy what you find while you're there. Those cards are fucking amazing. But back to the conversation. So I think, in conjunction to this meme, I think that a lot of people overuse saying like that person has no soul or that person's a demon. Like I truly do. Like, you know, because the post that we're discussing is wait until y'all find out it's spiritual people without souls sent to keep you in a loop of your own trauma so that you maintain the frequency to keep you from ascension. I think that there are a lot of cases where people nowadays are like, well, I guess probably not just nowadays, because way back in the day it happened. You might die from the accusation, but like that person's a demon. That person ain't got no soul. Like, what are your thoughts on just that part of it? Like,
I think that I definitely think it's overused, just like I think the term energy vampire is overused. Please check out our energy vampire episode from, was it last week?
Yeah.
Last week. I think people lose sight of the definition of things.
I do.
You know, I really do. And
well, and I think people like they see bad behavior and they just that person's soulless. That person's a demon. And it's like
soulless behavior is a lot more than just pissing you off because they
yes, exactly. Like somebody who picks a fight or somebody you think is an energy vampire. That doesn't mean they're a demon. That doesn't mean they're soulless.
As a matter of fact, it could mean that they're just extremely emotional and don't have a handle on their human, you know, they're a new soul that doesn't have a handle on the way that humanity affects us when we're in this vessel. Not to sound crazy, but you get what I'm saying.
No, I do. I completely understand what you're saying, and I agree because I just think that terminology or that accusation of someone being soulless is overused.
Well, and I think my thing is I don't know what word to use when I describe people who would, I guess some people would call soulless. I don't think there's I use the term soul in a broader term than a lot of people. So maybe that's my problem. You know, I need to do more research on the definition of words, which is very important, especially when it comes to the craft and spirituality. And like Amber said, you can't just throw these words out like energy vampire and soulless. You know what I mean?
For real, though, because I mean, in the past and even today, unfortunately, that can actually lead to like harsh repercussions for a person that you just don't vibe with or you just don't like.
Exactly.
And you know, when it comes to accusing someone of being soulless, like I know I said Like, I do believe in empty vessels, which are people that have no souls. And I do believe I've met them. And I do believe, because I'm gonna be that bitch, just like in last episode, I'm an empath. I connect to individuals, and that's not just human individuals, that's all sorts of things. I connect to animals, I connect to plants,
Rocks.
I can feel that.
Yes.
Because I am very connected to the energies of the ethers, whatever you want to call it. I like calling it the ethers because that's how I picture it all in my head. It's like, you know, it's also the tapestry, it's the fibers, it's everything working together to make what we experience right here in this third dimension. And I believe I am connected to not just the fourth dimension, but the fifth dimension as well, which I realize sounds crazy. But my point is, I'm so connected with these energetic fields that when I meet a person who is not on the energetic field in any way that I can feel, what are you? I'm just saying, like, when I look into your eyes and there's no soul, and when you speak and your voice carries no soul, not just lack of emotion, but lack of essence. You know, there's a lot that goes into it. And again, like, you know, before a commercial break, like I was saying, you know, I cannot personally fathom an individual who can do what, like, the Night Stalker or Jeffrey Dahmer or like countless other, like, there's certain ones where it's like, yeah, that's an evil person, not necessarily an evil soul, but that person is definitely fucking evil. But then there's certain things, there's certain levels that when you're doing that shit, you're inhuman. You do not have a fucking soul in my life view. But from the standpoint of this particular meme that is spurring on the conversation, taking it back to like the spiritual community and spiritual individuals who are keeping you down so that they can elevate, or not necessarily so that they can elevate, but just to keep you down, to fuck up the energies at large, to fuck up the ethers, because they are playing their part in the tapestry by keeping you down. They don't have to have a soul to fuck up the tapestry, I guess is my view on it. And I truly do think that this meme is overshared, because a lot of times people share this meme and they're talking about, like, yeah, a lot of stuff we talked about in last episode, in the energy vampire episode. And like, usually, like, if they're putting typing along with that when they share it, quite often it's very much similar to a narcissistic individual or an energy vampire than what I would think of as a soulless person. What do you think when you see that meme shared?
I think when I see that meme shared, again, like you said, it's something that's very, like, overused. It almost borderlines fear mongering, in my opinion. So it's hard for me to take those things seriously when I see them online, because a lot of the times the people that are sharing these things, not all the time, but a lot of them, are people who are like, yeah, I know, right? And I know spiritually right, and you're wrong, and your way's wrong. And,
I was about to go there.
Like, and that's why it's so hard for me to take, like posts like that seriously, because it's like you're calling someone soulless because they disagree with you, or they don't vibe with you, or you're trying to be a bitch and piss someone off.
Or because you're a complete hypocrite and you're actually the soulless spiritual person that's trying to get followers by saying, watch out for them frauds out there, because that's my second thought. My first thought is televangelists. My second thought is, you are the soulless spiritual person who is trying to get people to follow you.
Right. And by fear mongering and saying, watch out for those people, which
you're going to get more followers.
Borderlines. C word, I'm not going to say it, mentality, because I don't want to offend anybody, which is, I'm right, you're wrong, and whoever else you follow that disagrees with me is wrong.
Yep. No. And I mean, you know, there are a lot of religions that even sadly, check out next episode, in the pagan community, there are a lot of spaces of religiousness that say, I'm right, you're wrong, and if you disagree with me, get the fuck out. You don't deserve to live. Literally. Check out
I
our
hate
free
the
Palestine
mentality.
episode.
I hate the fucking shit because this is like a super big ego trap. And I've been doing a lot of research on different ego traps, which is you're just not as evolved as me. You're just not as enlightened as me. So, and again, I think that falls in the trying to keep you down.
Yeah.
The
Well, because if you're not as enlightened as me, then you gotta follow me.
exactly.
You have to look up to me. You have to feed me your
Yeah.
energy. And if you're feeding me your energy, well, obviously you're losing energy and I'm gaining it.
Yes. And I think
Which
this
is
is a
why-
good way to
yeah.
end this episode because
Yeah,
we're going
'cause-
into the next episode talking about these witchy gurus and
Yep.
shit online.
Yep. So definitely check us out on Thursday when we are back with another
Second
amazing
sponsor.
episode.
No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. No,
Oh,
please.
we just wanted water.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Death by DVD.
Thank you, Pam,
Thank you, Victoria.
for being our Patreon or our patrons. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/witchestalkingtarot. We're also on Facebook, Threads, and Instagram at Witches Talking Tarot.
We are on the X at Classiest Witches because we are the classiest witches you know.
Thanks for sitting with us for a spell.
Bye. That was great. I enjoyed
I
that.
do too. I do.
I'm Maddie,
I'm Amber.
and we're Witches Talking Tarot.
We are the weird optimistic.
Like a song, like a Santa's snubble. Flip the switch and let the cauldron bubble. Sam.
Wow.